Hello, everybody. You know who it is. And for those who don't, I have greatly failed. Great intro. That being said, NEST has finished up. It's done and over with. The last video, I talked about my expectations for the top four. It was a double bracket. There were four teams, of course, being played: Invictus Gaming, Snake, LGD, Jingdong, all of which were vying for that beautiful first place spot. That 400 ren, no, 400,000 ren, that's quite a bit, that's a lot larger, prize money for that first place. And of course, the ticket to the Demacia Cup top 8. Now, my expectations going into this one was that IG, they're going to win. They're the clear-cut favorites to win this one. They could have done it with anybody in the 80 carry position specifically, because there were going to be a lot of questions if West was playing. Now we know IG, especially during third-party tournaments, they pull out Jackie Love. They just don't pull him out for the LPL because he's not old enough. That being said, before we even get into the games, let's talk about NEST a little bit. Let's talk about the fact that we're watching another third-party tournament showcasing wonderful League of Legends games. What did I think about it? Now, back in the day, 2014, 2015, I don't know about 2013. That's too old for me. Back in those times when I would watch these third-party tournaments in the China, there are memes that I would make. One of them, most memorable one, being the coffee shop meme, because I think it was during NISO. Where there were just massive delays. And you know what? What do you do if there are delays? You just run commercials. Why not? A, it helps your ads, the people who sponsor the event. You're like, you know what? They're going to be happier. And if you have nothing else to run, perhaps it does a decent enough job at entertaining the audience. They don't want to see a schedule screen, especially since, it just probably pisses them off a little bit more, knowing that the games that are in front of their eyes just not being played. So the NISO back then just had that one, maybe two, I would say one or two advertisements, one of them being a very long coffee shop meme. Point of the joke is that one is etched into everybody's memory if you watch that tournament. Long ass delays, and now you just want to get some takeaway coffee. This event had some pretty long delays. No advertisements to save it. None. Absolutely nothing. What were the delays? I think it was day one. Okay. One thing you have to know if you're watching NEST, multi-game tournament. So there are CSGO knockoffs, League of Legends knockoffs, FIFA, and then League of Legends. But the asterisk here is that League of Legends is cut up. While these other games are being played in their blocks, respective blocks, watch a best of 3 here, watch a best of 3 there, and you're coming into the stream just to watch those, and then you fuck off. For League of Legends, it's completely different. Day one, you come in for the opening ceremony, you watch a good game of League, Invictus Gaming versus Snake Esports, and then you kind of have to fuck off for about 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. For the next block of games, Jingdong and LGD, and that gets played at the end of the day. So if you're literally sitting there, if you're at the venue, you're like, I want to watch these teams play. I guess we just stay here all day. Guess we can't go home. Let's see what's happening on the other play something else. Maybe we eat something. Maybe we sleep. So anyways, yeah, unfortunate if you're coming in for League of Legends and only League of Legends. I can understand that as a tactic because, of course, for opening ceremonies, it's the most popular game. You get a lot of viewers for the opening of the show. Maybe some of the people trickle into the other games. Maybe they watch the other game to game throughout the day. And then they're definitely going to be coming back for LGD versus Jingdong, though they probably shouldn't have, spoiler alert. That was a pretty bad set. But anyways, delays happened. One of the mobile games, had a problem with some of the pieces malfunctioning in the middle of their best of three, and that took a long ass time to finish. I live in Australia, about 2 hour difference from Shanghai, and all I could tell you, it was like midnight, 1 a.m. before the game started rolling. And I was like, holy shit, these teams have been sitting there waiting for the games to complete, the knockoff games. Anyways, so that's a big, that is a major problem for me, of course, because we keep seeing these third-party tournaments, and I love them. Right? I love third-party tournaments, especially when it's brackets like these, double bracket, tournament bracket. We don't get to see that. Not even with the playoffs anymore, in the LPL playoffs. LPL playoffs are just, yeah, sure, the bracket exists, but ain't double bracket. Not only are they not double bracket, it's a gauntlet style. And gauntlets may be hype, but when a team loses by running the gauntlet, you're like, that doesn't feel good. Anyways, let's get into the damn nitty gritty, which is who won the tournament. Write down, I don't give a. We'll talk about each individual set after who Invictus Gaming won. Not surprised? Probably because I just nonstop tweeted about the event, so you've probably already been spoiled about it. So yeah, IG won. They were expected to win. They ended up winning. They were a 4th place or 3rd place team in China, depending on how you rated the finals, of course, being able to take WE in the summer split 3rd place match, but then falling to them. 4th place, of course, in the regional finals. You're just like, damn. It's a really close one versus them and WE. So you could tell that immediately going right into it, IG just didn't stop training. That's what it was. I mean, we heard rumors that Invictus Gaming was still scrimming during Worlds, still going at it. They were kind of they were a little bit ridiculous in terms of rumors of how well they were playing during those scrims, that they were smashing teams. Now, a lot of those, I've heard rumors like that one before. Sometimes they get pushed a little bit too far. People are like talking them up, and you're like, you know what, maybe the scrims weren't that good. They were taking victories, but maybe they were a little bit clown fiesta. I've seen those scrims where you just say, oh, you know what, we just never lost. But they were pretty dirty scrims. Anyways, was that the case here? How are the games actually like? Because Invictus Gaming going down to the finals, taking the finals win, here's another caveat to that. They didn't lose a map in the NEST. They didn't lose a map versus Snake. Didn't lose a map versus Jingdong. Didn't lose a map versus Jingdong again. Another spoiler alert. Let's talk about the first set of games. Invictus Gaming versus Snake. That one is, if you're Snake, you're probably a little bit embarrassed after that one. Because both of these teams are trying. I know if you're third-party tournament, you're talking about, well, are these teams even, like, do they care? Like, what is their motivation going into this tournament? A lot of the times, like, even going into this tournament, if you're looking at the online qualifiers to the top 4, some of these teams are trolling. Some of these teams weren't picking proper picks. Not like, oh, you know what? LGD has troll drafts anyways, so it makes sense. No, some of these picks didn't make sense. But going into the top 4, all of the picks made sense. They were meta, by the way, at 7.21, so it's preseason patch, before the preseason patch. So if you're looking at the patch, you're looking at, good old days. By not good old days, it depends on your viewpoint after the preseason. But anyways, yeah, Invictus Gaming goes into this. They bring in Jackie Love, of course, just as another caveat, and they smack Snake. They smack him. And this was a strategy throughout the entire tournament, was for Rookie to get his pick in the mid lane, a very, very strong early game pick. Could be Tillia, could be Lucian, because he brought in Lucian, and he would just have his jungler tied to the lane. Ning was tied to that lane. That was a 2v1. Now, naturally, you're like, okay, maybe you lose one game to that you should know going into the game too. Okay, IG, this is their strategy. Let's match them 2v2. No team was able to beat them in doing so. Snake got slaughtered. Zatai didn't have that help. SOFM was playing Nidalee jungle too, but he was just farming it up. He was going with his old troll builds too. Please look at that VODs, because there were quite a bit of VODs on that one. And SOFM was doing the same old, really inoptimal builds on his champions. Nidalee was this one. Jesus Christ. The guy was going full support Nidalee builds. Had what was this final item that really just like put me over the edge? Because there was a Frostfang that was there, which is preseason Frostfang, and he was definitely going into MR armor for a shield. You know, this is when my memory really kills me sometimes. Lol wikis, because I'm doing it right now. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna tell you what this item was, just so you feel sad. Ah, Jesus, I just went to lol wikis. There we go. And I'm gonna put null magic mantle. Aegis of the Legion. There we go. See, sometimes it's the easiest items that get me. So he built the Aegis of the Legion, was going to go into Locket of the Iron Solari. That's just who he was. He was just not building Anyways, regardless of that, that's just SOFM sometimes. He goes into very inoptimal builds on his champions, and you're like, well, what are you really playing? He just wasn't active early on. He would play these early game picks, wouldn't be in front of the jungler's face, obviously, wouldn't be invading as much, would be farming up his own jungle, and would watch Zatai get absolutely blasted in the 2v1. And Zatai would be playing Azir at this one. So, standard, right? And Invictus Gaming, going back to the strategy that they used, camp for Rookie. Rookie goes top. Rookie goes bot. Rookie goes jungle. Rookie just goes wherever the fuck he goes. And Rookie is I don't have to tell you, he's a great player. He is the best mid laner in the LPL. And so, his game sense, very much strong. There was not a improper movement from him, in the sense that whenever he had a mid lane push, he always chose the right lane, and that lane always set up properly for him to gank, for him to dive, and the dives from IG was top tier. And on top of that, IG had timed every single goddamn blue buff from Snake. And even though Snake were on top of it, they weren't late for their own blue buffs, they were just getting contested every single damn time. And it was a full team effort they would bring in Duke, of course, who was playing quite a bit of Ornn until it finally got banned away from him. And they would just be full committal for these skirmishes and team fights that Snake were just not ready for. So they got slammed in a 2-0. It was just like, okay, well, you know what? I expected them to get smacked. I didn't expect for them to just suddenly just get demoralized in the first set of the tournament. And that's what happened. It was like after the first 10 minutes of the game one, Snake were going into their patented everybody in an orderly file, 1v5, 1v5, 1v5. We're just going to run at you. And hopefully one of us outplays you. And that was just the style in which Snake decided to lose by. Anyways, they lost that one. Invictus Gaming goes on to the next one. And then, of course, you have to wait for the long delays for the LGD versus Jingdong set. And remember, I set the expectation that this one was going to be a slaughter. This was going to be a back-and-forth team fight versus team fight versus team fight. And it was. LGD, they lost this set 2-1. Immediately, I'm going to tell you this, because I feel like they shouldn't have lost this set. LGD in both games, I'll say all three, though they are definitely starting to mesh in together, they had good early games. And this is what reminds me of LGD in the regular season, where you'd say this is a good LGD. You know, Cool's winning the mid lane, proper, makes sense. Bottom lane's doing well as well. All of these lanes kind of healthy. And then you get out of lane phase and you start to see these smart lane assignments come out. Like for instance, you would notice that LGD, when they get out of lanes, they're going up against a 1-3-1 coming out of Jingdong. And so they decide to deal with that by putting Azir, which is cool, up against the Gnar on the top side of the map. And they put Fiora, which of course, for whatever reason, of course, Jinu's still playing that, in the mid lane against the Kassadin, because those are just proper matchups in the sense that Fiora is going to kill and push back the Kassadin. Kassadin versus Fiora is really bad for Kassadin. And the Azir matchup, he just doesn't want to be anywhere near Kassadin, and he can push in and be safe around Gnar. Now, the whole worry about this lane assignment is that Azir is not going to be running TP. Gnar has TP. So you're putting yourself in a numbers disadvantage. Very easily, Jingdong can look for these TP plays. But you can tell that LGD were aware of that, and we're just quickly pushing out the top lane and running down towards the dragon. And they set up for dragon. You're like, oh, you know what, LGD, maybe you did learn something. And then they would start getting picked off again. And then Jingdong would turn that into a Baron. And then Jingdong would turn that into a game. You're like, I remember this. So it was not as if both teams weren't trying. This was legitimately what we remember both of these teams doing in the regular season. LGD had very impressing moments, and then very clear, complete communication disarray, just like it's gone. It's there, and then it's gone. It's there, the setup is there, and then it's blah, 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 blah. So you're like, okay, well, you know what? This is what we're getting from LGD. There were some rumors and talk, of course, about some of the players in LGD being sick. If that's the case, that's really rough, because that's something you can't really tell the audience, or at least you can tell the audience. They're not gonna be eating that shit up. It's kind of like when David Haye, the boxer, decided he wasn't gonna fight, or at least he did fight, and he did lose. But then you're like, well, I had an injured toe. That's why I didn't move. That's why I stayed planted versus a big ass guy. And people were going to be hearing that, and you're like, well, you know what, we ain't going to be hearing that excuse. And you're like, okay, you know what, I tried. I tried to tell you what happened. But still, regardless of the players being sick, something like, I think Cool was the name that came up. He played as well as he did, I would say, in the regular season, and they were still the same faults as there were from the regular season. And LGD faltered. Going on to the next series, which is Jingdong versus Invictus Gaming, and it was just... honestly, this was probably more demoralizing than watching Invictus Gaming take a poop on Snake, because Invictus Gaming just kept diving Doinb. Just kept diving him. Kept pushing him. This time Jingdong actually tried to fight those 2v2s, bring in Xiaoyu, but you could tell that Xiaoyu and Doinb were nowhere near the same level as Ning and Rookie. Just wasn't there. They were getting outplayed every 2v2. They weren't even setting up proper for the 2v2. And honestly, going into pick and ban, a lot of the times, Invictus Gaming were picking for the 2v2. So they were losing based off of that alone. And it was another series where you felt, getting 10 minutes into the game, it was pretty much a done deal unless if IG completely got slaughtered in a random team fight. Basically LGD in it, but it didn't happen. So it was another 2-0. At this point in time in the round 2 of the tournament, the semifinals of the tournament, Invictus Gaming have gone 4-0. Then Jingdong, sets up for a rematch versus LGD. By the way, this is a bit of a skip ahead. I ain't gonna talk about Snake versus LGD. I didn't actually get to see this one because I was just, I was definitely snoozing. I was sleeping on this one. I saw game 1, and game 1 was LGD looking poor. It was actually not looking good versus Snake. I think that was the same game that they lost to, if I can check. I don't even know if I can check this. Rest in peace, esports wikis, by the way. It's hard to find these games if they're not legitimately LPL games online. Anyways, my memory on this one is just simply that Snake were doing well in game 1. Didn't get to see. Apparently, it went to a full best of 3, and then LGD snuck by them. And then it goes into Jingdong versus LGD, which I did get to catch. And Jingdong make it a little bit more convincing going for the 2-0. Which sets us up for Invictus Gaming and Jingdong in the finals. We just saw this. Now, thankfully, Jingdong actually do better. This is what's crazy about this. Jingdong do better in the repeat match, recognizing that it was going to be a 2v2 in the mid lane that they have to address, that they can't just ignore, because then they would lose the jungle mid lane combination, and they would get run around the map, top lane, bottom lane. They need to be able to fight that 2v2 in the mid lane, and nullify Rookie, Ning, at the very least Ning, because Ning was on his game the entire tournament. Was playing Gragas, was playing Jarvan to a T, and it wasn't a linear strategy of him just camping for Rookie. As much as I say that, it wasn't one of those moments where you would watch these teams like, what's a good example? MLXG way back when he would just literally stick bot and he wouldn't move. That was a time back then. It's more like MLXG now, where he would go mid, transition that, and he wouldn't overdo it. Why are you continuously trying ganking a lane that's already winning? The moment he's seen that it's winning, they would immediately move that elsewhere. And that's something that IG did. Now, anyways, what Jingdong did better was that they were actually looking for these fights, and if IG were roaming top lane first, Doinb was already there along with Xiaoyu, and they were getting trades. They were getting fights. Doinb was actually getting kills. The only problem was IG were still coming out of that ahead. You would say, hey, this is a really good trade for Jingdong Gaming. And then you look at the score screen, and you're like, well, somehow, you know what, after all of that, after what was pretty much them learning and knowing what IG were going to do, Rookie still gets like 2 kills or 3 kills in that fight. And you're like, that's the one person you don't want getting kills. But he has kills, and there ain't much you can do about that. And then the games kind of looked like it deteriorated after a little while, going into game 2. That IG were just a lot more bot lane focused, I would say. We even saw the Draven pick coming out of Jackie Love. And by the end of the tournament, just to wrap it all up, they take it 2-0 versus Jingdong Gaming. So if you're taking the tally, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, Invictus Gaming they go completely, I don't want to say winless, like literally won every single game that they had to face. Now, what do we take away from this? Is Invictus Gaming the second coming of Jesus Christ? I will say, perhaps, maybe Jesus' cousin. That's a possibility. I'll give him that, because in the style of which they won, that was very. The style in which they win, I would say, is impressive, right? That they were still in a third-party tournament, time these buffs, consistently attack these weak points of these teams, and even though Duke there would be not so much communication errors, but when he would go a little bit too deep and would die in some of these skirmishes, they wouldn't over focus on that. Duke would immediately recover, and would have an incredible TP in the bottom side. By the way, his TPs this entire tournament were spot on. Every single time. If the bot lane failed, if Jackie Love and Baolan died in a 2v2, or if they were setting up, or if they were getting ganked, which happened quite a bit, he would be there to clean up, or he would be there to stop it. And I thought that Duke played really damn well this tournament. I thought Ning played exceptionally well this tournament. Rookie played Rookie, which was exceptionally well this tournament. It was a highlight reel. And I think the only real fault is going to be in the bottom lane, because I think Baolan and Jackie Love, they had their comfortable picks. And honestly, I'll take that as a win. I'll take it as a win that they played with their comfortable picks. They even decided to bring in the Draven, as I mentioned earlier, and that they were still walking to go for these all-in 2v2s. And you could tell that Ning was still in tune with that. But the only reason why it wasn't as good as the rest of the lanes was just simply because they would be losing these lanes. The one that comes to mind, of course, was a losing 2v2 lane going up against Snake. Let me see. It had to have been their first set when they were going the Tristana and Tahm Kench. No, it was Tristana Braum into Varus Tahm Kench. Snake had Varus Tahm Kench. That is a good lane for Snake. Fair. They lose that 2v2. They should lose in terms of CS. That's what I'm expecting. A CS loss. And getting pushed in so they don't have first help of a jungle, for instance. If Snake wanted to be the ones that push into the enemy jungle, they're going to be coming in a delay. They died in that lane. Like, Jackie Love outright just got outplayed by Snake's bottom lane. That's fair. That's fair. You go on to the Jingdong game, and Jackie Love gets tagged by an Orianna ulti, and you're like, okay, that sucks. That's unfortunate. That stops the play from happening. Jingdong gets some momentum. And then there was... Actually, I think that was there would be one point where he didn't rotate as fast as I would want. But overall, this is just me critiquing excellence, right? This is me critiquing the point that even though he played well overall, holistically, a good example of a really good play from him, of course, was when he got Shen, Leona dived, and Rek'Sai. The entirety of Jingdong decided, we're losing this game pretty hard. Let's just dive the bottom lane. And he still got a double kill on the Draven pick. I keep talking about the Draven pick. It's a pretty fucking fun pick. So, Jackie Love would have these outplay moments. Jackie Love had pretty good 2v2s with Baolan for the most part. But there would be holes, and you'd look at that. You'd be like, okay, well, is the hype real? And I feel like I've heard this question a million times. Remember, hype is subjective. Literally, you could be a player, a fan in North America, haven't heard a goddamn thing about Jackie Love. You hear one thing, you're like, I'm pretty interested. Oh, this is great. Or you can be an LPL audience member and you've heard so much about Jackie Love because he's been around, or at least his name's been around for so long. You're just expecting perfection. If you're expecting perfection from Jackie Love, you should probably wipe that away for now. He is a very talented player, but he's still a very young player. And he's as confident as he is still prone to making mistakes. And so what we saw from IG this tournament, which was, I would say, veteranship, strong, patient play from the top side of the map, I think I would say that there was about 85% of that from Jackie Love. He is a improvement from West. But if we are then comparing him to the top 3 AD carries of Mystic, UZI, SMLZ, if you want to call it that, then... Oh yeah, and of course iBoy. Then we need to see time. There have been teams, and I remember a team that some people might remember, Team King, that did extremely well during these third-party tournaments once upon a time, were very much hyped up to do great things when they got into the LPL, and definitely did not. Yes, that happens. And I'm not expecting Jackie Love to fall flat like Team King fell flat, like Wushin fell semi-flat. I'm expecting him to come in and have a average to above average performance. I'm expecting him to come in and be on the same level as Crystal. Is he a better AD carry than Crystal? Do I think he's more talented? Do I think he has a higher window? Hell yes, I do. Hell yes. I think he has the same ceiling as iBoy. I think he has the same ceiling as SMLZ, if not higher. But ceiling is something that some people just don't reach sometimes. And even though he's been on many stages, by the way, on third-party tournaments, and he's probably the least rookie of a rookie. You're calling him a rookie, but the man has been playing in third-party tournaments for a long time. So I would say that he would come onto LPL and he probably wouldn't suffer from nerves, but it's so hard to tell until you actually see it. So hold off your hype machine, hype magnets, until you actually see the boy play. I'm still going to be talking this motherfucker up, but you know me. I like setting up that pressure for people. So that's IG. So, let's talk a little bit about the offseason. Let's talk a little bit about that offseason. Because offseason just started, I'm going to open this one up. Because we're already seeing some incredible news coming out of North America and Europe just because that free agency window is opened up. And we haven't heard way too much, not much coming in from China. We've heard, I think the biggest one, of course, the biggest news came in some out of nowhere was Newbie. We didn't really get to talk about this much. I was kind of waiting a little bit just to see if we can get any more information. But nothing happened, surprisingly enough. I mean, Newbie's not playing in any of these third-party tournaments. That's probably why they decided to let him go early, or at least make this public, is that he doesn't have any obligations with the team. They ain't going to be playing in another tournament. And even if he was not playing with them and they were still playing in the tournament, I don't know if they'd find another jungler. I don't know if Twine is still on their lineup. A lot of that team just has very much a moving roster. But let's talk about it, because this is a big one, where Swift was the name, the identity of Newbie. He was Newbie. When Newbie, formerly known as ChiaoGu, entered the LPL, it had Swift. And Swift was still the identity. It was still the same team. Sure, Doinb was on the roster, but not a lot of people know who Doinb was at the time. Doinb was like, Doinb what? Who the hell is this guy? In fact, I was a little bit against the man, because remember when they went into the LPL, they had swapped AD carries at this. I mean, mid laners. Doinb came in a little later on. And then it became the Doinb Swift show. But it was primarily focused on the fact that Swift was a monster of a jungler. He was incredibly aggressive as a jungler. And so that was just the identity of ChiaoGu, the identity of Newbie, and it was just everyone else on the team just fitting in. It was just a meme at this point, because you would have Coco coming in, cool, like who's going to be that puzzle piece? It was going to be Coco. We waited so long to finally have Coco on that team. It finally happened, and it looked pretty damn good. It didn't stop there. Speaking of puzzle pieces, it was Sky in the top lane instead of V. In the bottom lane, you're seeing Happy, Moore, Vasily. And like literally, they would just have moving pieces to see who can stick. LWX is a mighty damn piece that should stay. And it feels like he's going to have to be that major player unless if Newbie gets another jungler. Because remember this, unless if Newbie gets an identical Swift jungle style, like just a jungler who plays the Swift style, they're going to have to change their identity. It's going to have to happen. We don't even know if Coco is staying or not. A lot of people would assume he's staying just because there's no word on whether he's staying. But the only reason at the time that Coco was coming in anyways just was because him and Swift had innate synergy. And it showed. So, would I expect Coco to leave? Kinda. Yeah, I would. But if he stays, then it could be the first step to what could lead into the Newbie identity. Is it Coco's team? Is it LWX team? I feel like it could be both. I feel like you can start to really rely on LWX and Coco, and suddenly the jungler doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't have the same impact as Newbie had when they first came in, where it was just the Swift show. So I'm interested in what Newbie can bring in. I mean, there's already junglers' names popping up here and there. I don't know who Newbie even wants to pick up. They certainly had the money to pick up Swift and make him a franchise player. So the idea of a Newbie Peanut, now that he's announced that free agency, it's possible. I don't know if he wants to come to China. It's a tough move to go for, but he can do it, and Newbie would be interested. So big news from that one. And if they don't get any Korean imports, and if they decide to go internally, of course, in terms of looking down in the LSPL, looking down in the TGA, there are definitely strong junglers like Laliat that are there. This is one jungler of many to pick up. And they're not even that much pressure to pick up a carry jungler just because, as I mentioned, they already have some strong carry talent. So good luck to Newbie on that one. And I am interested in what they can pick up. And remember this. There are a lot of players flowing around. Like, if we go in the LSPL, remember, Young Miracles is no more. They're gone. Done. These players are free. And the player that I'm most interested in when you look towards Young Miracles is, of course, Knight. I am surprised I haven't heard anything from Knight yet. Knight is a free agent mid laner who reached rank 1 in Korea, a Chinese player who reached rank 1 in Korea, rank 3 in Korea. He has a lot of accounts and they're both top 5. Just stick in there. And when, sure, his team, his organization that he's been a part of have failed to make the LPL multiple times, but they've always been surrounding his success, playing around him, playing around his fizz. Last time it was Oriana, but he was still carrying certain games. He was still playing incredibly well. He is a star. He should be in the LPL by now. He should have been in the LPL a year ago. This kid right here, Knight, I'm just saying, I'm pointing at a certain direction. There's nothing for you to see because it's just my lovely face. I guarantee you, now that Young Miracles is no longer a team, he is going to show up in the LPL. There is no way in my mind that this kid does not show up. And so a lot of people talk about, well, which team is he going to show up in? Because the LPL has so many strong mid laners. I mean, LPL has had the strongest mid lane pool for a very long time. So that's a fair statement to make. But if you look at the LPL now, Dan still has Goon. They've been swapping him out for a little bit. He ain't bad, but he's certainly not Knight. Suning Gaming need a mid laner. Suning Gaming has Dian, Feng, I believe that's his name. And both of them are not performing. They made the playoffs, barely, and they had to carry their goddamn mid laners. Both of them are bad. Knight would 100,000% improve that team. You put Knight into the mid lane for Suning Gaming, I don't care who you have in the jungle, be it Voidless or Hacker. I don't care who you have in the top lane. It's going to be Xiao, unless if there's some major changes there. That is a winning team. That team goes much farther, and I would be so hyped if Suning Gaming not only have Fury, but have Knight as well, along with a successful Hacker in the jungle. So big ups to Suning Gaming if they could make this acquisition. That would just skyrocket that team. But then, of course, you look at the rest of the teams, and I would agree that it would be hard to put Knight anywhere else because Coco's a newbie, Rookie is an IG, Zatai is in Snake, and sure, you can make that, but Zatai has really good games that define Snake, so whatever. Aime, Athena. You know what? I know Athena has had some good seasons. I mean, splits, but not good seasons. And putting a Knight on that one would be pretty damn good. Jingdong, Duan B. You can't replace Duan B. I already mentioned Dan. Mentioned Suning Gaming. LGD, Cool is a really good, fucking good mid laner. You can't change that. Scout has had a shoddy international performance, but he's a really strong mid laner. You can't change that. With experience, by the way. WE not going to be replacing CA, even though he's had his splotchy points in his career. Very recently, CI has just skyrocketed as well, so you can't change that. Icon, you can't change that in OMG. And Shahu's a demon in RNG. So, not a lot of positions open, but if you are the few teams that do really need mid laners, Knight's your guy. But yeah, that's a big focus on that. I'm really entertained, or at least really excited to see when the ball starts rolling for a lot of these teams, when teams actually start looking for new talent. I know they're already looking. For whatever reason, I just haven't heard a goddamn rumor from it. So, we've already gone to the 38-minute mark. If you've gotten to this point in the video, God bless your soul. Yeah, that'd be it for me. I've already just took a magnifying glasses on a few points of the offseason. And a little bit of hype for IG, but not really because they haven't faced the top 3 teams in the LPL. But they can definitely hit those 3 teams very hard. RNG, WE, EDG. They can do it. And if you're OMG, you're pretty damn scared because you are trying to hit that third team mark so you can make it to Worlds. But it seems like IG is gotten a head start. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. I hope you have a nice night/day or wherever you are. And stay tuned for more.